this computer and I get my little trick camera thing going here. Yes, yes. All right, everybody, welcome to your weekly Celebrity Entrepreneur Mastermind. This is the Magic Messenger webinar. And the date is, I gotta get a good date. We didn't have it last week because we did that celebrity storytelling extravaganza. April 8th. And I just want to tell you, if you participated in that and have not received your award yet, you will be receiving the award. I wanted to space it out because there's a unfortunate tendency amongst a lot of our peeps. Just want to get a box and raise this up a little bit. There's an unfortunate tendency amongst a lot of our peeps to have everybody post all the stuff at the same time, you know? So I wanted to give the first group that I sent it out to the opportunity to post. I wanted to give everybody in the first group an opportunity to post. And then probably later tonight, I will send it out to the second group, who were the first speakers. The first speakers are getting it last. The last speakers are getting it first. See, he that is first shall be last, and he that is last shall be first. Ain't that right? Yeah, I think so. I have been noticing, I wanted to bring something up. This is what I wanted to talk about today. This was really fascinating. And when I told Allie about it today, she's like, oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. What I wanted to bring up was this thing from Nasani. Now, Nasani, he sent me this message today on Facebook Messenger. This is fascinating. I know you will all find this fascinating. Nasani goes, Nasani sends me this message and he goes, what do you think of what this guy is saying? And this is the guy's presentation right here. Okay. And what I said to Nasani was, his presentation is so low status, I will not watch it. See, this is the guy's presentation. Some guy in a purple shirt with a couple books. See,
on YouTube. So welcome everyone.
I'm not going to watch this. This does not look like there's any value there. None. The reason why you guys want to go on TV is so that you don't end up like this guy. Now, I don't know who this guy is. Supposedly, he's somebody. All I know is he doesn't look like he's anybody. We use, like, what you learn at Celebrity Launchpad is how to make yourself seem relevant to a cold audience. That's what this whole Celebrity Launchpad is all about. That's what in some regard, that's what celebrity entrepreneurship is all about. How do you come across as being something that someone wants to consume? How do you come across as being a piece of talent or content that is going to compel somebody to consume your content? How do you do that? This guy doesn't know how to do that. And in today's day and age, where time and attention is the most valuable commodity, if you don't know the tricks to make a person compelled to watch you, then you're going to have less impact, influence, and income. That's what this is all about. Now, later in this webinar, I'm going to take a look at Dave Nassani's appearance on Skype with an NBC affiliate, and we're going to compare it to this guy's presentation right here. And I'm going to show you why you want to go on TV as opposed to doing stuff like this guy. And it's a shame because I've heard from Allie that this guy, you know, this guy is somebody, but this guy doesn't know how to appear to be somebody. This guy does not know how to position himself as a valuable resource. You know, if this guy was somebody, I would see him on Fox News, but he's not. I haven't seen him on Fox News. If this guy was anybody saying anything, I would see him at least on CNN. I mean, they'll put any talking head on CNN as long as they have the right political agenda. Now, there's only one piece of information in this video. There's only one clue about what this guy might be wanting to talk about and why I would want to watch him. And it's called right here on that red book. It says The Future of Email. Why the hell would I want to watch this guy talk about email? See what I'm saying? You see the mixed messaging that he's giving out here? Just because he's one of those people. I know this guy. I don't know him, but I know this guy. This guy. I've met a lot of these guys. They are the kind of guys, like this guy thinks his name is Scorpion. You know what I'm saying, Dave Nassani? This guy's name should be Scorpion. He thinks he's so freaking smart that it doesn't matter how he presents his message. He's so smart, everybody should listen to his message. I ain't listening to his message. I'm not going to listen. I don't want to hear anything about email. I don't give a shit about email. I think email is dead. I hate email. People say, oh, let me send you an email about that. And you know what I always say? Why don't you text me? I really want to get your message. Whatever you're going to send me, I really want it. Why don't you text me? And they go, well, can I send you an email? And I go, hey, man, I want you to text me. Why would you not want to text me? You don't want to have a direct access to something that I want? I mean, when I enroll new people into what we do, I always get their cell phone. I don't even give them, you know, it used to be in my industry, of enrolling people for seminars. It used to be that you would have those NCR forms, 2-part, 3-part, where they write on the paper and then you give them the yellow copy or the pink copy, right? You know what I'm talking about. Well, now I don't even do that anymore. I don't make NCR forms anymore. All I do is I have them fill out the form, and on the form it says cell phone number, and then I say, okay, great, now you've enrolled, congratulations, now I want to text you a copy of this form so you see exactly what you're buying, because I'm always going to deliver at least exactly what I'm selling you. Whatever you're buying, you're always going to get at least that. And those of you who know me, you know that I'm always going to over deliver. That's my modus operandi. You're always going to get more than what you expect. And I text them a photo of their form. And then, because I don't trust people, because so many people don't write their actual phone number, their actual cell phone number on the form, I always say to them, okay, so look on your phone. Did you get the photo from me? I'm texting you right here from my phone. Did you get the text from me? Get the photo? And sometimes they don't get it. And they go, oh, well, I didn't give you my cell phone number. And I go, but it says cell phone number right there. We need your cell phone number, because I don't believe in email communication. It just doesn't freaking work. And you have no idea if the person got it or not. See that? You heard the ding. I just got a text. See, I get text messages all the time. You know, there's more than a 95% open rate on text messages, but less than 20% open rate on emails. It's probably more like 13% open rate on emails. Why would you send email? It's like 80+% of your efforts as a marketer are just being flushed down the toilet because people ain't opening the emails. They're not getting them. They're not opening them. They get lost in a sea. That's why I always say, when you get a person on the phone, as part of our training here, when you get somebody on the phone, and they ask you to send them something in writing, when they ask for the proposal in writing, and you have a beautiful one-page proposals like what we create together, me and you, for you to be pitching with, when they ask for that, you don't just say, okay, I'll send it to you. Thanks a lot, goodbye. You always say, all right, what's your email address? And then they go, newstips@wxyz.com. And you go, oh, come on, Joe. What's your personal email address? You want the proposal, right? Why are you going to have me send it into slush? Give me your actual email address. Okay, it's joe@wxyz.com. Okay, great. I just sent it. Did you get it? Oh, I'll open it later. No, Joe, you know how hard it is to get an email across. Maybe it went into your spam filter. Maybe it's lost. Maybe I typed it wrong. You want to see the proposal. So did you get the email? I just sent it. It's coming from Dave Nasani at nasani.com. Did it show up in your email box yet? Oh, yeah, there it is. Great, I see it. Okay, great. Could you tell me, can you open the PDF? The future of email. I'll tell you the future of email. The future of email is like the future of a coronavirus patient who has no access to hydroxychloroquine. Not looking good. So why am I going to watch this idiot who's so freaking smart? He doesn't have to have anything. He doesn't have to wear a jacket. He doesn't have to wear a tie. He doesn't have to have a diploma. He doesn't have to have a TV news logo in the corner. He doesn't have to be smiling. He doesn't have to have good lighting. He doesn't have to have no distractions in the background. He doesn't need any of that because he's so freaking smart. He ain't that smart. So I ain't gonna watch that video for those reasons. Hey, look, I want to include you guys in my sunset stories. For those of you who've been for those of you who've been watching my Facebook profile over the last couple of weeks, you've seen that I've been doing sunset stories. And I am going to be doing another sunset story here on Facebook Live. And I want to share that with you guys. You're going to see how I do a Facebook Live. And you'll get to observe the actual thing. Now, what am I doing different than what this guy is doing? Well, couple of things. First of all, I got this view. Which is going to be turning into a sunset soon. There you go. I got my sunset view. Second of all, what is my subject matter? Is my subject matter the future of email? No. My subject matter is, I'll show you. Here's my subject matter. Tonight, 7:30 p.m. Sunset Story, George Clooney. I'm going to be telling my stories about George Clooney. I actually have a couple of them. And I want you to observe, because I tell you what, my storytelling has really gone to a whole amazing level lately, because I've discovered this whole thing about the approach. How do you add an interesting, fascinating approach to your story? Now look, my story is about George Clooney. Watch how I get into it. All right, here you go. Sunset Story. I think it's number 11. Let's see here. Yep, number 11. George Clooney. Notice I'm starting with a smile. Here I go. Yeah, the question is it real? That's what everybody wants to know. Is that real? Is that really real, Clint? I'm sharing it to a couple of groups that I'm the administrator of. Yeah, is that really real, Clint? Yeah, it's really real. That's Acapulco, baby. Acapulco, man. It's really real. It is real. And I usually wait a minute or so to let some people come on, because, you know, they're not quite on yet. Here comes some people. And in today's story, I'm going to be telling my story about George Clooney. I'm going to be telling several stories about George Clooney, as a matter of fact. And here I go. All right, everybody. It's Clint Arthur. Welcome to Sunset Stories number 11. 11, ocho, man. Numero ocho. Sunset Stories. See? Now, what I have on Sunset Stories to compel you to want to participate and observe, what I have is I got beautiful sunset, and I got My good buddy, George Clooney, as my subject matter. Yep. George E. George E. Clooney. Not that his middle name is E, just that I call him Georgie. George E. Clooney. Now, this all begins when I was on a bus. I was riding a bus at the Sundance Film Festival. For those of you who've never been to the Sundance Film Festival, it happens in January. It's freaking cold there. And that's where filmmakers go to see and be seen. You're going to see movies, you're going to see movie stars, people, and you're going to be seen. You want to be seen there. The way you get around in Sundance, some people like if you're a studio executive or somebody who's super rich, maybe you rent an SUV and you drive around. I don't know why anybody would do that. It's freaking covered with snow there. There's like so much snow in Sundance in Park City, Utah. I personally wouldn't drive. But me today, I hardly ever drive. I don't want to drive. My car is Uber, although here in Acapulco, I have rented a car, which is not cheap, by the way. You would think it would be cheap to do anything in Acapulco. It's cheap to do most things, but not cheap to rent a car. In Park City, Utah, way back in 1994, I was on the bus and I see this very pretty woman on the bus nearby, and she's wearing a very unusual coat. She's very pretty and she's wearing a very unusual coat. And I say to her, "Hey, nice coat." She goes, "Thank you. I made this coat out of an antique blanket." I go, "Say what?" She goes, "That's right. I manufacture antique blanket coats." I go, "Huh, what's your name?" She goes, "Sarah." I go, "I'm Clint Arthur." Maybe I just said I'm Clint. In those days, I didn't know that celebrities introduced themselves by their full name. If I had known it, I would have said I'm Clint Arthur, wanting to immediately raise my status by employing my full name, as I always do now, and as all celebrities always do. But I think at that time, when I knew nothing, when I was seriously nobody, I'm pretty sure I just said my name is Clint. And we went to a movie, and then we went to another movie, and then we went to dinner, and then I'm back in Los Angeles, and she invites me to go to a movie premiere. And I go to that movie premiere with her up on Sunset Boulevard. There's like these theaters there, where they show all of the artistic movies on Sunset and Crescent Heights or Laurel Canyon, somewhere up there. I think it's Laurel Canyon. And we go to that movie together, and I realize I'm not just on a date with her. She's also on a date with another guy for the same movie. I end up on a date. I end up on a double date with Sarah and some other guy that she's also dating at the same movie. By the end of the movie, he decides to leave. And when he leaves, she says to me, "You want to come over to my house for some homemade chicken soup?" And I said, "Yeah." Well, that was the beginning of me dating Sarah. And our next date, we went to a club on Little Santa Monica Boulevard. It was called Dan Tana's. Dan Tana's is like a hipster, long-established bar restaurant, Italian restaurant. And It ain't cheap. It ain't super expensive, but it ain't cheap. I had never really been there before because just wasn't a place I would go, not having a lot of money in those days. But we walk in the door at Dantana's, and as soon as we walk in the door, Sarah goes, "Oh, hey, there's George Clooney. Let's go say hello." And I go, "You know George Clooney?" She goes, "I used to date him and his best friend at the same time." See what I'm saying? This was a theme that Sarah had going on in her life, dating two guys at the same time. We go over to George Clooney. George Clooney is tall, and he's with a model, hot, beautiful chick who's also tall. This was around the time that Quentin Tarantino was producing From Dusk Till Dawn, the vampire movie. And George Clooney was starring in that movie, and he had all these tattoos on his neck, like all kinds of like spider tattoos, I think. I don't know. I do remember he had all these tattoos. And we go over to George, and Sarah says, "Hey, George, how you doing?" And George Clooney goes, "Oh, Sarah, I am so fucking wasted right now." Now, look, I hope I didn't offend you by using the F word. If I did, please take it up with George when you see him. That's just exactly what he said and exactly how he said it. Anybody who knows me knows I do great impersonations of people, and that's exactly what he said and how he said it. I personally wouldn't use the F word, but he did. So if it bothered you, I apologize, and please take it up with him. We chit chat just a little bit. She introduces me. I shake his hand. And then we go to get our table because we had our names in to get a table for dinner. And we sit down and we have an Italian dinner at this Italian restaurant, Dantana's. And of course, I say to Sarah, "So how do you know George Clooney? How, what, huh?" She goes, "Well, I used to be a talent agent for many years. In fact, I was George Clooney's agent for more than 10 years. And I got that guy part after part after part. I got him series regular roles year after year after year. He was always getting cast as a series regular in pilot after pilot after pilot. Because I knew that he was going to be George Clooney, and he knew that he was going to be George Clooney. The only people that did not know he was going to be George Clooney was Hollywood did not know he was going to be George Clooney. And if you look at his resume, you will see he's been in a million pilots and had a million guest starring roles on a million shows before he had his breakthrough role, which was ER. Now, ER hadn't even happened yet at that point. It really hadn't. We were just talking about him being in that movie From Dusk Till Dawn. I go, "But what about dating him and his best friend? What was that all about?" She goes, "Well, I was also his best friend's agent. And I was dating both of them at the same time. And then the best friend asked me to marry him. So he and I got engaged, and I broke up with George Clooney. And went on to get engaged and have a multi-year engagement with that best friend of his, Tom, who was also my client, before finally, ultimately, Tom and I broke up. And when we sold the house that we owned together, I got enough money to buy this charm bracelet." And she shakes her charm bracelet. Yep, I basically traded my house for a charm bracelet. This is exactly what she said. A couple of months later, ER, remember, starring George Clooney as the hunk emergency room doctor, ER blows up and George Clooney becomes the biggest actor in Hollywood, the biggest. And I remember Sarah sitting down at her desk one day and writing George Clooney a congratulations note about how happy she was that he finally had his huge breakthrough. Sarah then got pregnant by me. And of course, I remember going for a walk with my friend Charles Sherman, who was much, much older than me. He and I had been friends since 1988, way back in the beginning when I first moved to LA. And I went for a walk with Charles and I said, yeah, Sarah's pregnant and I think I'm going to ask her to marry me. And he goes, oh, no, don't do that. Don't do it. You don't want to do it. I'm like, no, yeah, I do. He goes, are you sure? Are you sure that's really what you want to do? You don't have to do that. And I'm like, no, I want to do that. Are you sure? I call up my parents. I say, Mom, you told me you had a ring for me. Well, my girlfriend is pregnant and I want to ask her to marry me. So can you please give me the ring? She goes, well, I want to meet her first. I'm like, all right. So she comes out, my parents come out, we all go out to dinner with Sarah. And my parents, my family is Jewish. My parents raised me Jewish. I'm not an observant Jew, but I was bar mitzvahed. I am a Jew. Sarah is what you would call a shiksa goddess. She is not Jewish. She's Swedish, from Oregon, the state of Oregon. She was like as foreign to me as I could possibly imagine. And that's what really turned me on about her. What really turned me on about Sarah was that, oh, and she was also, let's see, she was also almost 10 years older than me. And what really turned me on about Sarah was how improbable we were as a couple. I mean, it just didn't make any sense. And that was what was so exciting to me for some reason. The less it made sense for me to be with Sarah, the more, if I could be with her, it excited me and turned me on, even though it made no sense. My parents come out, we go out to dinner. Yes, she's a lovely woman. And here's the ring. Now, at that point in my life, I was 100% living off credit cards, 100%. I mean, I had had some writing deals that I scrounged up for myself in Hollywood. From going to places like the Cannes Film Festival, the Sundance Film Festival, I had met some people and been hired to write some stuff, but I never really made any money the way screenwriters are supposed to make money in Hollywood. It's an illusion, certainly for anybody who's nobody like I was, right? Half the time when I was dating Sarah, I didn't even have a car. I remember in those days, I had a garage. Like I was a roommate. We had a 3-bedroom condo on the beach in Venice, and we had the 3-car garage. And the way I was able to have any kind of car at all was that I made a deal with the guy who lived across the street, who managed a building that I used to live in before I moved into the condo. And I said, hey man, I've got this garage, you've got a Triumph Spitfire. And then he had the Triumph Spitfire. Remember those beautiful, cool Triumph Spitfires, British racing green, right? He had the Triumph Spitfire convertible. Then his girlfriend blew up the Triumph Spitfire convertible, racing it in the Hollywood Hills before somebody killed her. That's a whole nother story. And then once he no longer had that car, he bought a Porsche 911. No, I'm sorry. Was it a 911? Yeah, you know that little square Porsche that was like a Carmen Ghia engine inside of a Porsche. I think it's a 914. That was it. The Porsche 914 with the targa tops. So what the deal was, hey man, I got a garage in Venice. You can park your car in my garage and then we'll share your car. And that worked out pretty good, except sometimes when I would need to go to Sarah's house, my fiance's house, I would have to ride my bike all the way to West Hollywood or take a bus all the way to West Hollywood. It was no bueno. But in any case, I remember the proposal. What a fantastic proposal this was. I was at Sarah's house for dinner. She loved to cook, and she was a fantastic cook. And she goes, listen, being pregnant, I'm going to need help with this baby. And so I want you to move in. So I moved out of my apartment in Venice, where I used to surf on the beach in Venice every single day. And I was one of the best surfers in Venice. And I moved in with her into her apartment on Doheny Drive in Los Angeles and in West Hollywood. And I became engaged with her. And that's when I got that ring. All right. All that time, I'm living on credit cards. I got no money. And a lot of times I would take us out to dinner on the credit card. Whatever available balance I had, by the time the baby was born, I had no more available balance. I was completely maxed out on my several different credit cards. And I spoke to my friend Charles again, and I said, Charles, man, I don't know what to do. I have no more access to even anything on my credit cards anymore. And he goes, well, why don't you drive a cab? And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, why don't you get a job driving a cab? I mean, it's not glorious, but at least you're going to make cash every single day. And I go, And I called up Yellow Cab and I said, hey, I'm interested in finding out about becoming a cab driver. And the guy goes, well, my name is Rick. I'm the dispatcher here at Yellow Cab. We have a taxi cab training class for new drivers. And it starts on Thursday. It's a 2-day class. If you want to come, it starts at this time and you need to show up at this place. And boom, next thing I know, I'm studying how do you be a taxi driver in Los Angeles. And what that really came down to was, how do you use the Thomas Guide, which is the big map book? How do you use the Thomas Guide to find your way around LA? Because I'll tell you what, even though I had lived in LA at that point for, let's see, almost 7 years, I didn't know LA. I didn't know how to get around in Los Angeles. You know how I learned to get around in Los Angeles? By being a yellow taxi driver, driving all around that whole city. Every night I would put 400 miles on a taxi. And I did the first couple of days as a taxi driver, driving in the daytime, because I didn't want to totally wreck my whole relationship with Sarah. I didn't want to be driving all night long and then come home and be asleep all the day and then do it all again. But driving during the daytime, I drove like 2 or 3 days and got tickets and didn't make a lot of money because it was a lot of traffic. It was just a nightmare to be a taxi driver in the daytime. So I switched to being a nighttime taxi driver. And that was really the beginning of the end of my relationship with Sarah, because there I was. I would go out and drive from 6 p.m. until 6 a.m. And then I'd come home with a 4-pack of Guinness draft, pub draft cans. And then I would drink 4 Guinnesses and go to sleep. And I'd wake up at 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon and then go out again. And it was the beginning of the end. Her career took off. As I started working nights, I was making $1,200, $1,300 a week, working full-time as a taxi driver. And I started paying for everything. And with my help, once the baby was born, with my help, we moved into this house. We needed a bigger place. We moved into a house in the hills. And next thing you know, Sarah had 5 of her clients as series regulars on network television shows. And I was a taxi driver. And I remember she had a big party one night on Saturday night. And everybody, all her fabulous Hollywood actor friends came over. And I took my briefcase, with my Thomas guide in it and my notebook or whatever else I would carry in that briefcase in those days. And I went out to be a taxi driver in the middle of the party, because that's what I was doing. And next thing I know, we are going to visit her family up in Oregon. And she asked me to put the cradle, the little bassinet, I don't know what it is, little car carrier seat. No, it was a stroller. She asked me to put the stroller in the back of the taxi that we took to go to the airport. And I didn't want to bring the stroller. I didn't want to be bothered carrying the stroller around. I just wanted to carry the kid. I'd carried my daughter. And when we got to the airport, she said, "Where's the stroller?" And I said, "I left it at home." And she goes, "But I told you to put it in the car." And I go, "I didn't want to put it in the car." And she was pissed. And I'll never forget, we're on Alaska Airlines. No, we were on Delta Airlines, because I bought and paid for the tickets. And I remember how she made fun of me. She's like, "Delta Airlines? Who flies to Oregon on Delta Airlines? You fly on Alaska Airlines." And we're sitting there and she's stewing, pissed, mad. And the baby's in between us. And she goes, "Hey, listen, I've decided I'm done. When we get back to LA, I want you to move out." I'm like, "What?" And we don't say another word the whole rest of the flight. We don't say another word the whole night. We see her family. We're staying at her mom's house in Gresham, Oregon. And I don't think I said anything to her all night long. I wake up the next morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I wake her up and I go, "Hey, when we get back to LA, you still want me to move out?" And she goes, and I go, "Well, drive me to the airport right now." We get up, get dressed. I had already packed, go to the airport. I'd already booked my flight. She drops me off at the airport. I fly back to Los Angeles. I go back to our house in the Hollywood Hills to pack up my stuff, because I just want to be gone. I just want to be gonzo. She had her best friend, Val, house sitting at our house that night. She was taking care of our dog, Toby, and house sitting the house. And I remember sitting in the living room late at night, smoking pot, drinking wine or tequila with Val, and crying, bawling my eyes out, like out of control, like I've never done before or since. And Val goes, "What do you think you could have done different?" And I said, this is exactly what I said, crying, bawling. I said, I could have been more. I could have been more. Believe me, I know what it feels like to not feel like you're enough. Because I, at that point, felt like I was nothing. I moved out and called up a mutual friend of ours, this guy, Philip. Philip had the exact same birthday as me. He was the first person I ever met who had my same birthday, August 28th. And I moved into Philip's spare room in his house in Bel Air before ultimately I moved onto the boat. I got a boat in Marina del Rey. I joined a gym. And I remember very clearly one day I was in the outdoor pool of the gym. It was called the Marina Fitness Club. And there was the 90 freeway in Marina del Rey. And in between the two sections of the freeway was this long stretch of grass. And part of that was the club, Marina Fitness. And they had an outdoor pool, and I was swimming laps in the outdoor pool. And of course, because I was no longer having to pay for everything for the house in the Hollywood Hills, I quit driving the taxi. I like inherited some money from my grandmother who died. And I'm swimming laps in the pool outside in the middle of the day on like a Wednesday or Thursday afternoon, looking at the blue sky, feeling like I had gotten out of prison, like I was a free man again. And I said to my friend Charles, I feel like I'm free. And he goes, man, I tried to keep you from making that mistake, but you just didn't want to hear it. You had to do it. I go, I know. Shortly after that point, my daughter had her 1-year birthday. And there is a picture of the party. And who's at the party? George Clooney. And who's in the picture? George Clooney and this guy, Bobby Hosea, who was a great guy. There was a movie on, I think it was on Fox Network. It was the O.J. Simpson story on Fox, and Bobby Hosea played the role of O.J. Simpson in the O.J. Simpson story. And there's Bobby Hosea and George Clooney holding my daughter in the photo. And you could see like the really awkward face that George Clooney has just from holding a baby. He's like, oh, man. Since that time, I have used George Clooney multiple times in my television appearances. I remember in particular, there was a movie of George Clooney's that I loved called Up in the Air. And it was all about George Clooney as a motivational speaker. And he had this whole saying that he used to have, like, what's in your backpack? And I remember this was like 2011 when that movie came out. Big movie. And I remember I did a segment because I had just learned about props and the importance of props when you go on TV. And I did this segment called, if this was going to be the last year of your life, what would be in your backpack? Because I had just written a book and published a book called The Last Year of Your Life. And man, I did really well with that segment. I got on a lot of TV shows. And every time they would start the TV segment of me being interviewed on the news, I would have them play the clip of George Clooney in Up in the Air. where he goes, "So what's in your backpack?" Like 15 seconds. I've done lots of TV appearances with George Clooney in them. Although he doesn't know about any of it, I know. And I'm grateful to George Clooney. Grateful to him for helping me to get on a lot of TV. And mostly I'm grateful for his example, because I try to share with my students all the time that if you want to be somebody very special in the eyes of your customers and prospects, in my world, I call that a celebrity entrepreneur. There really has to be two people who know that you're going to be that celebrity. The first person is you. Remember what Sarah said. George Clooney always knew that he was going to be George Clooney. The second person is you need to have somebody who can help you. For my clients, that's me. I've helped more than 1,000 authors, speakers, coaches, entrepreneurs book themselves on more than 4,500 television appearances in the last 7-8 years. And I know that I can help anybody to do it. I've got people getting on TV all the time. And in this day and age, people are going on TV on Skype video. It's really easy to get on TV these days if you can give them what you want to give them, if you can give them what they need you to give them. And I know exactly what they need to have in order for you to get on TV. I have a mathematical formula for how to get on TV anytime you want for free. That's what we deliver at Celebrity Launchpad with a guarantee. If you attend Celebrity Launchpad's live implementation event, I guarantee you will book yourself on at least 3 TV news or talk shows with ABC, NBC, CBS, or Fox, or you get all your money back plus $1,000. And as a matter of fact, Danny DeNovo, I'll be posting her video really soon. As she said during the Celebrity Quarantine Story Conference, she's already booked 14. Dave Nasani, I got bad news for you. I just got a text from Danny DeNovo a couple days ago. I think it was yesterday. Yeah, it was Monday. Oh, it was 2 days ago, Monday. She goes, "Hey, let's start the week with some good news. I just booked my 15th television appearance off cold calls, and it'll be on Zoom." During the pandemic, she's been booking herself on shows on Zoom. So if you're interested in making that happen, Celebrity Launchpad is at guaranteedcelebrity.com, guaranteed with the D, celebrity.com. Fill out the brief application. If I think you look like you're going to be good, I will either call you up to talk to you or send you an enrollment form, and you can get going right away, booking yourself on shows with cold calls. My goal is for you to be on TV shows before you even show up for Celebrity Launchpad, because the more appearances you do before you do my training, before you go to be with my friends on their shows in their studios, the more appearances you do, the better you're going to be when you come to book yourself on shows at the live implementation event. So again, check it out at guaranteed with a D, celebrity.com. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on television, hopefully with my good friend, George Clooney. Good night, everybody. There you go. That was a story about George Clooney. See what I'm saying? That was a story about George Clooney. I got to get a charger plug. Hey, Allie, if you're listening, can you bring me out the straight USB-C to USB-C charger plug? I really need it. Thank you. Yeah, Dave Nasani is happy. Yeah. I know. I mean, who would have thought? Who would have thought? I got to text Allie to bring me this plug. Yeah, you bringing it? Thank you. No. The plain one that's next to the TV. It's just a USB-C to USB-C. Hey, that's how I'm telling stories. You see what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, I want to ask you, Tamisa, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Hey, So was that a story about George Clooney?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
You didn't like it? Why didn't you like it?
It sounded like some of those quarantine stories we heard last week that were just facts, facts, facts. I'm sorry, it wasn't your best.
Oh, too many facts.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's fair.
Long and too many facts.
That's
So-
good to know. Hey, look, I'm telling these stories right now as Facebook Lives
Mhm.
so that I can work them out.
Well, my opinion
Yeah.
recently is not about you. It's just I am so Zoomed, webinared, Facebook Live out. I can hardly see straight.
Yep.
And the talks are long, drawn out, sometimes boring. And I had like 7 today to be on. And I missed several because some drag on longer than they're supposed to. And oh my gosh, it's been, I'm just about to scream. That's where my going crazy is. It's overkill right now with all these long stories. Get to the point, make it fun, fast, furious, move on. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that's why I'm telling these
Too long
stories.
for me.
That's why I'm telling these stories here on Facebook Lives, because I want to figure out what to put in the book. Like, this is going to be one of my stories in my book. George Clooney is going to be one of my stories in my book about things that I've learned from men. And I want to make sure that it's awesome. So thank you.
Well, you are one of the best at writing, and you write it, you go back and edit it, you take out that don't have meaning, all that. I was surprised by this story because I've never not been enthralled by your stories, just to be honest with you. So you might just have to revisit this one in too many facts that don't make a difference. Sorry.
Oh, no. Hey, that's great feedback. I really appreciate it. I definitely do, honestly. That's why I'm telling these stories right now, so that when they are part of the book, they're great, because nothing can be okay. Nothing can be good. Everything has to be great. If it's not great, it's not going to be good. It's got to be great.
Maybe there is, if all these are stories that are going into the book, maybe there are little cliffhangers so people will, like, for more details, buy the book. And to get the real meat and potatoes of the story. I don't know.
Oh.
I'm just there's people are just doing these Facebook Lives just on and on and on, and it's just getting like, get to the point. Let's have some fun with it. See you later.
Good. Good. Well, look, the other thing that I like about, say what you want, and I appreciate your point of view. I really do. But my whole thing about stories these days is I want to start a story in such a unexpected way that you don't know where it's going.
Oh, that's exactly where that one was.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
but not in the way that made me want to, like, cling on. We lost Nikki on the webinar during that. I just was wondering if she felt like I did. You know what I mean? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't know.
No, your stories are usually, they keep me excited. It's like, where is this going next? But, and what's the punchline? And,
Well, maybe this is like about such a depressing part of my life that maybe it was a not compelling story because it's about such a downer part of my life.
Well, most of our stories come from downer parts of our lives. We just deal with them, and we know how to share them.
Yeah.
You've had downer stories, but this one was just too many facts. You know, all I could think of was there was that roofer guy from the quarantine story last week.
Yep.
That, oh my God. I mean, I sat and listened to everybody's last word. I
Yes,
was
you did.
tuned into that 2 days.
Yes.
And I sat with my high heels on and I was like I was in business. But I just, God, his story, I was like, I think I texted Allie and said, oh my God, Clint needs to work with him. And that's how I felt during this story. Oh my God, Clint took notes from him. It just had too many facts that just drug on.
Very good feedback. Thank you.
You're
All right,
welcome.
cool. Well, for the last 17 minutes or so, I wanna take a look at Dave Nassani's NBC Palm Springs. Are you there, Dave?
Yeah.
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 You got an NBC Palm Springs for me?
I do.
You got a link you can put in the chat?
It's on. You want the Palm Springs or do you want the Santa Barbara? Palm
Oh,
Springs is longer.
I went to Santa Barbara because I don't know Santa Barbara.
All right. I just posted a few minutes ago. It's on Facebook.
It's on Facebook? All right.
Yeah.
Let me take a look.
It went very fast.
Yeah, of course. That's the whole point.
But I think I got all the important stuff in there. I didn't say everything I wanted to say, but he was talking fast and he was directing me. And
All right, let me take a look. All right, now look, Dave, you know, the way you're supposed to do these is you're supposed to upload them directly to Facebook. That'll get you more views. I know you want to promote the YouTube.
how do you do that?
You just upload the video.
To Facebook?
Yeah.
Well, everyone is feeling the pressure of the coronavirus pandemic.
I'll figure that out.
You already care for a loved one. Now this is adding to the stress and workload. David Nassani is a caregiver. He's the author of It's My Life Too. David, good morning. You've been on the show before. We appreciate you. You were sitting here before. Now you're joining us via Skype with everything going on in the world. And I'm sure this pandemic and the stay-at-home orders have kind of changed the way that you do things day to day. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, things are crazy around here. So, Joe, for those who haven't heard my story, let me just briefly say who I am. 23 years ago, I became a caregiver when my beautiful wife, Charlene, suffered from a massive stroke. And she lost her speech, became paralyzed on one side. And in that moment, I suddenly realized that I'm in trouble. Things have changed. They're never going to be the same. My wife started becoming angry and bitter. And we almost broke up, but we hung in there. And then I realized after she came around, our love was rekindled, that we also have other things going on. And so now I'm Dave, the caregiver's caregiver, because I didn't want other caregivers to go through what I went through. So I've been on television. This is my 34th appearance. I'm a best-selling author. I've spoken at Harvard with Suzanne Summers. And this is what we do now.
All right, so now you have some tips. You have 5 things that caregivers can do to try to reduce the risk of infection with the coronavirus. Kind of walk us through what those are.
Yeah, AARP says that 41% of caregivers are burned out. And so also 50% of them will actually die before their loved ones do. So anything we can do to help them get their needs put first. So I say, just like the airlines tell us, oxygen masks will fall, put your mask on first before you help your loved ones do your mask. Second thing is know how and when to ask for help. Everyone has a cell phone. I always say this, turn it on, punch in your number. Hello, Mom. I need help. Grandma's driving me crazy. Call your brother, call your sister, call your wife's ex-husband, call anybody. Get over that notion that you can't do it all by yourself. You're a failure as a caregiver, because that will kill you. The next thing, don't let people pile on the guilt. I told you about Sanford. Elizabeth, I'm coming to meet you, honey.
Okay. Dave, I want to stop right here for a second, all right? So, it's not the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Remember, structure is your friend.
Structure is my friend. Number 1, number 2, number 3.
Yeah, the first mistake caregivers make is The second mistake caregivers make is. The third mistake caregivers make is. The fourth mistake caregivers make is. Okay? Structure is your friend because it helps you to get through the segment. It also helps the viewer to get through the segment. Even if they're not interested, they know, oh, well, there's only 5 things. I'm already through 3 of the 5.
Yeah.
I'm just going to stick it out and hear the last 2 of the things because I've already learned 3. I might as well learn the other 2, right?
Yeah. And I usually do that. I don't know what happened that day.
Yep. Also, you don't have to ask permission to tell your story.
In the beginning?
Yeah.
Well, he asked me a different question, and I wanted to not answer his question. I wanted to go right in my story.
As you should. You should always go into your story. So congratulations on doing that. But you don't need to ask permission to tell your story. You should just tell your story as if you're answering the question. The guy
Well,
goes,
did I ask permission? I thought I said, well, Joe, let me tell you about my story first, or something like that.
that
No.
is asking permission.
Okay.
All right. Here, let's go back to here.
You're joining us via Skype with everything going on in the world. And I'm sure this pandemic and the stay-at-home orders have kind of changed the way that you do things day to day. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah, things are crazy around here. So, Joe,
Now, next thing I've told you many times, don't say thank you.
That's a hard habit to break.
Yeah, because you're a people pleaser, because you're insecure. You need to be the celebrity. Celebrities aren't it's like, hey, it's great to be with you. That's the line. Why don't you rehearse that line 1,000
Hey, it's
times?
great to be with you. Hey, it's great to be with you. Hey,
Yeah,
it's
why
great to be with you.
don't you just rehearse that line 1,000 times so that you
I
always
will.
say that whenever anybody says, hey, thanks so much for being here. You go, hey, it's great to be with you.
It's great to be with you. Hey, it's great to be with you. Hey, it's great to be with you.
Hey, it's great. And then you can just go right into it. Hey, it's great to be with you.
Yeah,
22 years ago when my wife had a stroke, that really changed everything. And I'm sure there's a lot of
Sounds
people
natural.
today. I'm sure there's a lot of people today who are going through life-changing experiences just the way I did 22 years ago when my wife had a stroke and I became her caregiver. According to ARP, 44% of all caregivers are burned out. And I was burned out at the time until I got into a caregivers group. And today I'm Dave, the caregiver's caregiver.
Got it.
Let's go back over
I'm gonna
here.
write that down. Hey, it's great to be with you.
We'll
This is why
email
you are
out the
successful.
audio.
call anybody. Get over that notion.
We'll
that you
email
can't
out
do
the
it by
recording.
yourself. You're a failure as a caregiver, because that will kill you. The next thing, don't let people pile on the guilt. I told you about Sanford and Son. Elizabeth, I'm coming to meet you, honey. People just dispense guilt on people.
Excuse me. What does that mean? I mean, I'm just watching this segment. When you said, I told you about Sanford and Son, what does that mean?
Yeah, I shortchanged him on that. I should have given him the full thing. Because he was on there before, but a lot of people hadn't heard that. So yeah,
What do you mean? You were on the show before.
this is the second time he's interviewed me. So he's heard the Elizabeth thing.
Yeah.
But
See,
his viewers hadn't.
The
Yeah.
viewers haven't. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of you say, what you can say is, look, you're always looking for, look, Dave, you need to get used to being a speaker who, you need to get used to being a speaker who knows how to talk about anything, anywhere, anytime, to anybody. See, that's what the Extreme VIP speaker training is all about, being able to speak to anyone, anytime, anywhere about anything, right? Now, in your case,
That's right.
That's
how I was trained.
I understand. And in your case, you need to be able to segue and say, a lot of people remember that television show Sanford and Son, but they don't realize that Lamont was a caregiver. He was going through what a lot of caregivers go through. The fourth mistake a lot of caregivers make is allowing them their caregivee to guilt them. Just like Fred Sanford, he'd always say, "This is the big one. I'm coming, Elizabeth. I'm coming to get you." Just in order to guilt Lamont into doing what he wants. But if you allow that to happen, it could kill you.
Yep.
And then the fifth mistake is, we'll go on right here.
Caregivers are the same way. Don't let people tell you you're not doing enough, you're not doing good enough. That guilt will kill you. Don't isolate yourself from your friends. That will make you lonely and feel like you're the only one going through this, that you're not normal. And eat healthy, nutritious food. Don't eat junk food. Junk food got sugar, chemicals, processed ingredients. All that stuff will kill you. And get your rest. 8 hours sleep is what caregivers need. The average one only gets 2 or 3. I can't survive on that. Can you?
No, I do, but I can't.
That was good.
We all have to function, and sleep certainly helps. David, those are some great tips. Thank you so much. You can visit caregiverdave.com for more information. David Nasani, thank you, sir, and good luck to you and your wife as we all deal with what's going on with the coronavirus. Great. All right, we'll be right back.
That was good. I like the ending. I like how you got out of it. I thought it
What do
was
you call
good.
it? The
I thought it was a good appearance. I still want, like, I know for some reason you like that banner of events at Barnes and Noble. I'm not crazy about that. I think you should put this.
my poster is in the mail. It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, the
I ordered it
NASDAQ
at
should be on
Maxim
the
or
left.
Mixim or whatever they're.
Yeah, the NASDAQ should be on the left, and then, you know, you could have some space on behind you, and then, or a curtain or something behind you, and then, I don't know. I mean, if all you had was you and Charlene in NASDAQ and a curtain behind you covering the rest, that would be great.
Mhm.
Because you can't really see what any.
Well, I got a
of those
4x8
things are.
banner. Yeah, I know they're
Yeah.
too small.
You can't really see what the other things are, so they just become distracting. But I like how you
That's
move the
temporary. It's
microphone.
coming any day now.
I like how you move the microphone, and
Yeah.
now it's not all about the microphone. That's better.
You told me. I've listened.
Good. Very good.
It's much better. Yeah.
All right, good. And the Palm Springs is basically the same situation.
Want to watch it?
Yeah.
Scroll down a little more.
Yep.
A little more time. Joe goes a little slower than that guy. A little more. Keep going. Okay, right there.
Yeah. Now, look, interviewed on NBC Palm Springs again, my 33rd TV show. Okay. Now, look, the headline for this, like, you got to understand something, Dave. None of this should be about you. This is the mistake that I find with a lot of your marketing of your appearances, is that you're marketing, like, you're not appealing to the viewer. You're not looking at the viewer and understanding, oh, this viewer needs to be coerced into wanting to watch this video. This should not say interviewed on NBC Palm Springs again, my 33rd TV show. If you want to say it's your 33rd TV appearance, that's fine. That's cool. I say stuff like that all the time, my 110th TV appearance, but I always put the title of the segment because that's what's going to get the person to watch. Yes?
Yes. Always put the NBC, the Fox first.
Well,
Got it. And I know that. I must have a terrible memory.
well, look, the correct title for this headline right here. Here's the headline. The correct headline should be my 33rd TV appearance, NBC Palm Springs, California. Quote, mistakes to avoid when you're a caregiver, end quote. Mistakes to avoid dying from being a caregiver. That's really what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And again, by the way, and again, this should be your own video on Facebook, because here's the difference. See this is how you post a video, Dave. You want to know how you post a video? You click on photo or video.
Yes, please tell me.
Right? You click on photo or video, and here's a video.
And
right?
upload the file?
What'd you say?
Upload the
Look.
file?
Look.
Just like I would upload it to YouTube?
Yeah, just upload a video. Just upload it.
Oh, I could still do that. It's not too late.
Yeah, I know. It's not hard.
And it gets the same ratings as, Facebook Live, because we get a lot of views with Facebook Live.
Yeah, it doesn't get as
same?
many views as a Facebook Live, but it does get more views than if you post a YouTube video or if you post one of their videos. It's what's called a
Is that just Facebook's algorithms and stuff?
Yeah, they give more value to a native Facebook video than they do to a video that's going to play a YouTube video. Okay?
I wish I'd have known that a long time ago.
Well, you should have been on more webinars, because I talk about this a lot.
I'm on all the webinars.
No, you're not. Here we go.
Stress now with the uncertainty over the coronavirus, and for caregivers, it's even more added stress and risk for their own health. Dave Nassani is here, and he's also his wife's caregiver since 1996 from a stroke. He's author of It's My Life Too, and he joins us by Skype. Dave, it's good to see you again. So what has been the added pressure for you being a caregiver and then also under the shadow of the coronavirus?
Even if I need to take my wife to the ER first.
All right. Now, I want to just go back and ask you, what is this background? Like, what's going on there? What the hell is that?
That was just the other sides of my banners. This was an evolution, because I didn't want to have, an evolution of my banners. So
okay, well, look,
this is before.
When you're doing,
does it look better than what you had?
It's I don't know. It's marginally better than before, but unnecessarily distracting. When you're doing stuff on video, you should always look and see what's behind you.
I thought nothing, because that's nothing. What's distracting? You mean the lines? They're trying to figure what is that?
All the lines. Why don't you just get rid of this stuff?
Well, then you would see what you saw before, my wall.
Okay, well, I mean, obviously it's not nothing. Here's a line.
This is all going to be fixed.
Yeah. Here's a line.
I know.
Here's
this is
all
going to be fixed.
Here's a line. Here's a line cutting right into your head. Here's a line. All right, let's continue.
Got it.
The shadow of the coronavirus.
Even if I need to take my wife to the ER for some reason, I don't want to have irrational fear, worrying that she's going to get infection, at the ER, when actually the odds of getting an infection at the ER are much less than not taking care of a first aid situation if she falls or breaks a bone.
Now, let me ask you a question. Whose images are these?
Yeah.
Whose are they?
They're mine. I gave them B-roll.
Okay, interesting. These images of the people, they're
on
your
my
images?
These are my images. I sent him my B-roll.
Okay, cool.
It's on my book trailer and stuff like that.
Complaining about not knowing when to stay home and when to go to the ER.
And so what about for yourself, though? Because it seems to me that it would be added pressure from your standpoint in caring for somebody, but then also to have to worry about the virus.
I always like to put my needs first. So I always take care of myself. Even though my gym has closed, I try to get out on my bike and exercise regularly to keep my immune system strong, because if my immune system will be strong, I won't catch something, bring it home to my wife. And there's always stress in the back of your mind saying, God, I hope I don't catch anything, and I hope I don't give it to her. The next thing is we want to ask for help. You know, don't try to do things by yourself, because caregivers, for some reason, don't like to ask for help. You don't want to be indebted to people. The other thing is, don't let people guilt you. You know, people are always trying.
Now, let me ask you this. When you were doing this, could you see him running the B-roll?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Why do you ask?
Well, I mean, he was running the B-roll of your help
Yeah, well, they
yourself
never
first.
run it. They never.
help yourself first. Put your
They're
mask
not
on.
that organized.
Put your mask on before you hit the one you put on for your loved one.
Alone and this and that, and don't let guilt.
They never run it,
that
you know,
drain
right.
on the immune system as well. The other thing is, don't isolate yourself from your friends. You know, if you have a friend that you do things with, continue to do with them. Do the separation, the 6 feet distancing, like the CDC recommends. And then lastly, you want to eat healthy. Don't eat junk food. Junk food's got chemicals and sugar, processed ingredients. All that stuff will kill you and compromise your immune system. And you want to get the rest. It's so tempting to just stay up and work, or stay at work late and come home and then get up early. You need 8 hours rest every single night, and caregivers only get 2 or 3. I can't survive on 2 or 3. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, well, it is difficult, and it's difficult when you have to care for somebody else, and you kind of then, I think, probably put your own health at risk because that's on the back burner.
You know, about 30% of caregivers will actually die before the loved ones do. Many more will become hospitalized and actually need a caregiver of their own. And if you're not a caregiver, just wait. You're either going to become one or you're going to need one. There's no escaping it. Everyone needs to learn how to become a caregiver before tragedy strikes. Don't be like me, because I was totally unprepared.
But so we feel as though we're kind of selfish then, though, if we are putting our needs first before the person that we're caring for.
You know, Joe, we need to be selfish. And selfish, in many people's minds, is a dirty word. I did a talk at TEDx called "Caregivers Need to Be Selfish in Order to Survive." You've got.
Hey, let me ask you this, Dave.
Yeah.
Did you do that same talk at Harvard?
No.
No? You didn't do that basic talk at Harvard?
Elements of it. It's evolved.
Hey, man, I've talked about this at Harvard. I've talked about it. I did this talk at TEDx. I've done it at West Point. You know, that was good the way you mentioned TEDx, but what about Harvard and Mercedes?
Yeah, Harvard's more prestigious, right?
What about Harvard and Mercedes and West Point and all those other places?
Drop the names.
Yeah, if you're going to drop names, it was like, good job on dropping that name, but you know, you missed all the really good ones.
Dang it.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, let's finish it up.
Do it, because if you go down, who's going to take care of my wife? Who's going to take care of your loved one? So you've got to put your needs first.
And so how did you go about learning this? Was it through the pain of having made all the mistakes?
Absolutely. From the College of Hard Knocks, I made every mistake in the book that a caregiver can make. In my caregiverdave.com website, we have videos and tools and blogs and articles, all sorts of things to help caregivers learn what I learned, but not the hard way. You don't have to go through the same mistakes I did. I'm going to teach you.
And the important thing, too, is not to isolate yourself as well.
You know, that is so important, because when you isolate yourself, you start feeling sorry for yourself. You start getting depressed. Woe is me, etc. You need friends to lift you up. And if you have things to complain about, if you want to vent, don't vent to your friends, because they won't be coming by. They don't want to hear your criticism. They don't want to hear you be on a downer. You know, nobody likes to be around Debbie Downer. Save those criticisms for your support group. And support groups are so important, because if I didn't have a support group, I wouldn't have learned that I had to take care of me before I could take care of my wife.
Well, you know, everybody is saying right now we're all in this together, and that is so true, whether you're a caregiver or not. Dave, thanks so much for the time.
My pleasure.
And stay right there. We'll be right back.
All right, Dave. When somebody asks you, when somebody like wraps up and says, "Thanks so much for joining us on the show," you're going to say from now on, write this down. My mission is taking care of caregivers. I'm caregiver Dave.
My mission is taking care of caregivers. I'm caregiver Dave. I like that.
Okay? It was a good appearance.
Thank you.
You should be doing those kinds of appearances all over
Thank
the
you.
country right now. And you should be growing your caregiver community by leaps and bounds. Because at this time, everybody's a freaking caregiver and everybody's burnt out. Everybody is a caregiver these days.
My mission is taking care of caregivers. What was the rest of it?
I'm caregiver
My
Dave.
mission is taking care of caregivers. I'm caregiver Dave. Yeah. That's the hardest part to remember. Who I am.
Hey, man, this whole thing, Celebrity
All right.
Launchpad, is all about who are you?
Yeah. I've actually got 8 interviews lined up. None of them with network TV shows yet. Just these 3 so far. But I'm still trying. I've got them with radios, like New Jersey radio, syndicated radio shows, other podcasts. So I'm getting a lot of practice. So that's good.
Good. Well, hey, man, if Danny DeNovo can do it, you can do it. I'm telling you, every single person in America right now is a caregiver.
That's right.
They don't even know it. When you call up these people
They don't even know it.
They don't even know they're caregivers yet.
Yeah. I talk about the neighbor who you happen to see outside the window picking up his newspaper and he's struggling and you say, well, let me go get that for him. Next thing you know, you're walking inside and you see him reaching for a bowl of cereal. Well, let me get that for you. Next thing you know, you're making his breakfast. Next thing you know, you're taking him to doctor appointments. Next thing you know, you're his caregiver. You say, my God, when did this happen?
I'm telling you, today, everybody's taking care of other people. We've become a nation of
Even
caregivers.
if it's a dog or a cat.
Hey, you've almost got a whole new approach, and that is, are you part of the growing trend of Americans becoming caregivers?
That's a good hook.
Hey, this is Dave Nassani, the caregiver's caregiver, and I'm calling because I have a great question for your audience. Are you part of the growing trend in America today of becoming a caregiver? Up until the coronavirus hit, approximately 30% of Americans were caregivers, but as a person who is focused all of my life on caregiving and taking care of caregivers over the last 20 years, I'm here to tell you more than 50% of America are caregivers today. Are you? And then you should have a quiz. Are you a caregiver? Take the quiz. Boom. That's it, everybody. I am done for tonight.
That's good.
I've done so much. I want to thank you for staying a little bit late. I'm going to go eat my dinner right now. Dave, great job. Tamisa, I love you. I love you. I love you.
Thanks, Clint.
Richard, hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, I'm looking forward to seeing you. Yeah, you on television. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night.